Hello there guys, this is a new thing I'm going to do for you today. This is a fan narration of the Animals of Farthing Wood. I might do a few episodes of this, but this one here is the very first episode. The Wood in Danger, it's called. It's the only episode in the running of the show to not feature any kind of prologue narration beforehand, because obviously there hadn't been a previous episode at this point. This is just the intro at the moment. As I said in my retrospective, which you may or may not have seen, didn't really understand what's going on here. Are they posing for a photograph or what? Who knows? But honestly, who cares? It's just the intro. So that's the intro to the show. Now we get into the first episode. The only episode, I believe, where we actually see Farthing Wood. Well, we see Farthing Wood very briefly, sort of, in the third series, but this is the only time when we really sort of properly see Farthing Wood and what it was like. That it's being destroyed by man. It's kind of funny, actually, this sort of first scene, very portraying man's evil nature and destroying animals' habitats. There isn't really very much of an environmental message to this. Like a lot of films that were coming out around the time that this show was on, actually. I think Fern Gully came out around this time. Here's Toad, returning from wherever the hell it is that he's been, after his long journey back to Farthing Wood, only to find that it's been destroyed. So he's been through a lot, really, Toad. He gets captured, he has to make a journey back to Farthing Wood, only to find it's been destroyed, and then he has to lead them to White Deer Park. Does he not notice that digger right up behind him? I wonder if the guy operating the digger notices Toad. It certainly takes a long time to get down and dig him up. Toad just I like the way he sort of leans over the top like that. And then he could just climb out, but no, he just lets him drop him down into sort of a pile of dirt. Ooh, a bit of symbolic going on there. Is that maybe supposed to be like his gravestone? Are we supposed to think that Toad is dead? It would be kind of pointless to have him die so quickly.
Look at this place.
And here we have Badger and Weasel.
Just look at it, Weasel.
Yeah, it's kind of appropriate that the first thing Weasel does in this show is her stupid laugh.
How many more homes have we lost today?
Yes, Weasel looking upon her home being destroyed, and all she can do is laugh. Owl, of course, very sort of wise character. Also a bit pompous and pretentious, I think.
16.
Oh, it's so awful. Her home's being destroyed. Oh, by the way, I know that this series is based off a book, which I read once, very sort of casually, not really taking it in. So I don't really remember it very well. In this first episode, Kestrel keeps sort of repeating herself for some reason. She never does that during the remainder of the series, but she does it in this first episode. I don't really understand why. Oh, and we're actually going to see what they're talking about here. It's actually not something they do very often, like showing things that the characters are talking about. Another stupid laugh from Weasel. Weasel's actually a much nicer, more helpful kind of character in these early episodes, actually, that she becomes later on. She's sort of like Badger's assistant in this first episode.
You here too, Fox?
And Fox comes across as a little bit bland in this first episode.
Oh yes, for ourselves.
I don't know whether maybe the guy doing his voice maybe just hadn't really gotten into the role yet, but he comes across almost like he's sort of not interested in what's going on half the time.
Looks like we've got a bit of a problem.
And a major one at that.
Important enough to worry.
Apparently in the book, Weasel was a much more helpful kind of character, and also male. Not quite sure why they changed the gender of the character, but whatever.
A get together for all the animals. It's not a
It's always kind of annoyed me how she plays such a major role in the series, because I wasn't too keen on her as a character.
This isn't drastic.
Here we have Fox, of course,
Then what is?
trying to find some sort of solution to the situation. The obvious solution being that they just simply have to leave.
Emergency? And I'd call this an emergency. You took
An
the word
emergency river. That's what they need.
Not to put too fine a point on it, without water, we animals of
Well, I like the way his
Farthing
tail's
are
sort of
likely
wagging
to
there like a
survive.
dog.
Here, here. I mean, if you wouldn't call that an emergency, what would you call it?
Excuse me?
Alice?
Is that Weasel trying to make a feeble joke? Yes,
but
probably.
If you don't mind my asking, what'll having some assembly achieve?
Oh,
We mere animals
my
do.
goodness. Hedgehog's so critical, isn't he?
Sure yet, but I reckon that if you and me and Badger and Weasel can get every single member
Weasel?
of our
No, you don't need
community
Weasel.
together,
Weasel can't do anything.
then maybe one of us might come up with
It looks like he'd been punched in the face at that shot.
Clever clogs, clever clogs.
Oh, do shut up, Weasel.
Fox is absolutely right, you know, everyone.
It was pretty much like every single thing Weasel says. I just wanted to shut up. I want to punch her in the face. Oh no, I like the voice of the female rabbit. That was really good. One must rule upon her. It's really nice, that voice that she has. I wonder what that voice actress is doing now.
such an assembly will not be what you'd call easy. However,
Ooh, Badger looks a
I'm
bit
sure
sort of
you'll sort
bemused
out,
there.
Badger.
Yes, huh? What? Who?
There's a weird thing they do with the characters' eyes in this show, actually. Sometimes they look alright. Like Fox's eyes in that shot look alright, but sometimes they turn into sort of like black, thin circle
Every one of us here have
things,
mouths,
and
don't you?
they look sort of a bit too cartoonish.
Shut up, Weasel.
And everybody knows you. So,
Oh.
Everybody knows Badger.
Yeah, just leave, all
I suppose he's
the
supposed to be the
ready
oldest
to me.
character in this wood.
that's my Badger. Knew I could rely on you.
I suppose maybe he's supposed to be like in his
Well, don't
60s,
just
and
stand there
maybe
diddling
Fox
the
is
usual
much
rabbit.
younger.
Off you
He's like
go, and
30 or 40.
And don't panic.
alert Hare, of course.
Hair.
And as for you, Hedgehog,
Hare always annoyed me.
roll yourself up.
Hare was very self-centered.
Roll yourself off and start looking for the newts.
Right you are, Badger.
Serves you right, Weasel. Serves you right for being so annoying.
Mole? Did you say mole? You'll soon
No, actually, nobody said Mole. I don't know where you got that from, actually. I think you must be hearing things. There's Mole. I always like Mole. Doesn't play much of a role in this first episode, though.
tell 'em. Tell everyone where to meet.
Now, they've been away from Toad for quite a while.
Your set?
And what is wrong with my set, Weasel?
And it's going to be a couple more minutes, actually, before we go back to them. It's kind of an odd thing. We see Toad in the very first scene. And I guess it's supposed to be implied that he's dead. And then we actually leave him for quite a long time. It's kind of like tormenting the children very early on.
What are they, Badger?
But
Badger and Owlie?
I can assure you he's alright.
And Kestrel? They aren't going to like it, are they?
Yes, it won't be.
Owl and Kestrel.
And I'm sure they'll realise it's in a
We always get the
cause.
impression that Owl's annoyed by Weasel. I don't know about Kestrel, though. Kestrel doesn't really seem to have much of a relationship with anyone, really.
Let's go and alert a few voles.
I like Weasel's face there. They repeat the animation a little bit too much in this first series, but
So, Mrs. Vole,
most of it, for what it is actually quite good.
the situation we are facing is so severe.
There's a recurring gag, of course, during the series that Mrs. Vole has problems with her hearing.
He's worried whether you're eating.
Oh, shut up. We're having a meeting.
There's Weasel
In
trying
my
to make things
chambers.
worse.
I eat where I like.
Yes, of course, and she's misheard what he said. Sunset. It's always a very sort of symbolic time of day, isn't it?
Please, don't be late, Mrs. Vole. And tell
That's quite a
Bring your brothers.
good sort of time for animals to organise to meet up somewhere, because they're not going to have watchers being animals.
Okie
Very sort of
dokie.
animal-like movements.
Sunset.
Very sort of realistic the way they're crawling across those branches. That's a nice shot there. Yeah, Badger and Weasel spend a lot of time together in this first episode, but
There is.
not so much for the rest of the series, really.
Fine.
Except for that penultimate episode. No, excuse me, it was the last episode of the series where Weasel gets drunk. Ah,
Make sure
Ada,
you press upon
my
her
favourite character.
that we haven't called this
Also
meeting
male
so
in the
she can
books, and
gorge herself
they
on
changed the
everyone
gender for some
present.
reason. She's portrayed as very much a sort of troublemaker and, quite a threat, someone that everyone's frightened of, or, finds a nuisance in this first episode. But actually, you'll find out later on that she's actually genuinely a good person.
Why,
Or snake,
a large
whatever.
My set, of course.
Flaring it up right into Weasel's face. That's not the last time that's going to happen in this series either.
By collecting a few glowworms, of course.
Wow, he's really chucking it out there. He's going for it. They're quite agile, those squirrels. Owl just sits on a branch all day and watches what's going on.
Somebody's here already.
Blimey, it's large, that set of badges, isn't it?
Oh, somehow I thought it might be you, Owl.
You're surely not expecting us to go down there, are you?
Yes.
She's so pompous,
Answer
Owl.
the question.
Coming up with her
Won't
little
you lead
sayings
us?
and whatever.
Told you so.
Yes, well, that's very helpful, Weasel, just to point out that that was going to happen.
He who dwells in the light shall find enlightenment.
Owl keeps coming up with these sayings and no one really sort of pays attention to them. She comes up with a lot of snide comments in this first episode, and again, no one really pays attention to them.
That way.
Oh, she's off. Go for it, Owl. Go and do your thing. Look at her waddling along like a goose.
One down and
Hundreds to go. The Newts, who won't make it past the third episode. Kestrel,
Hello, squirrels. Just follow the
who
utes.
plays the role of Scout in this first series and not much else. It's not much of a development of her character, really, to be honest. Blimey, I had no idea Rabbit was so fat. There's about 4 rabbits live in Farthing Wood. It's probably the biggest collection of
Follow
a
the
single
field,
species
my
of animal.
scares.
There go the hares,
Not late, are we, Badger?
the pheasants.
Only you
Neither of them will make it past the 5th episode.
takes so long to get ready, eh?
It's always my
I do like the way that they kill off a lot of established characters in the show, but
Are we all here?
it does seem a bit odd when you look back on the series and you see these characters that are going to be dead within a few episodes,
Just follow
getting
the
this sort of
glowworms
development, and you're sort of wondering, well, why are they being developed if they're just going to kill them off? And then you have a character like Ada, who would remain alive for the running of all 3 series, from beginning to end, and she's not being developed very much in this first episode. She's just going around frightening everyone. I'm trying to think, is there anyone
listen,
else?
everybody.
There's Fox, Owl, Weasel,
You
Ada,
know who.
and Toad. I think that's it for characters that are in the first episode and also in the last episode.
Am I late for something, Pedro?
You're always late for everything, Mole.
Oh dear, Badger, that's not very nice. It's not a nice thing to say to the character that will ultimately become your
Now,
soulmate almost.
Ada
Is that the right word?
and fellow woodlanders.
Best friend forever.
Get on
BFF.
with it.
I suppose
don't
you
need
could
me
say
to
now in this
underline
modern
the
age of the
gravity our
internet.
situation.
We're all aware that since the giant earth movers moved in,
Life in Farthing Wood
And
becomes
here...
steadily
Oh,
more
no,
and more
excuse me.
hazardous.
I thought we were going back to Toad there, but we're not. Oh, we are going back to Toad. Right, so that's like, what? 10 minutes? It's like practically half the episode.
First, they
We've
devastated
been away
our
from Toad, and
habitat.
now we're finally going back to him to reveal that he's actually alive. That's a lot of time to spend where we're just sort of wondering what's happened to
Still
Toad.
we've hung in there.
Blooded but unbound.
Oh, do shut up, Kestrel.
But
You have no
is there any
character.
way out from this dilemma?
Where indeed is the
Ooh, Al looks really depressed there.
problems?
I'm coming.
I've never noticed before. What's that sign there with the squirrel on it?
I'm sure, for example, that no
Who
one
knows?
needs reminding.
I suppose it's just
Once upon a
indicating that
time,
it's a wood,
our
or it was a
Farthing
wood, anyway.
Pond was home to 47 indigenous toads.
And now none.
Where are they
Or
now?
one.
We
Well,
ask ourselves.
they think there are none,
What's
but
happened
there's
to
actually
the
one
last?
left.
Pompous, puffed up.
Pompous? You're the one who's pompous, Al.
Who was always so
Dear to us all.
Well, I don't think he was dear to people like Hadder. Or
Hold on.
Weasel.
Weasel. What's that?
I am holding on.
Why is he
It
asking
appears to
Weasel?
be,
Weasel's not going to know.
yes, a foot.
I'm here,
really
mateys.
stunned.
I'm coming.
Well, I suppose it is kind of stunning to see Toad again.
Your powers powers of deduction are admirable, Badger.
Oh, do stop coming up with those stupid snide comments, Al. She's a bit annoying in this episode.
Bet you never thought you'd see me again, eh, mateys?
Yeah, that's what Al's got to say to that. She's just going to turn her back on Toad, because Toad's so annoying.
But where have you been?
Where haven't I been, more like?
Ooh, and he's standing up on a rock.
Taken away against my will,
Make
weren't
his
I?
speech about where he's been.
Captivated I were and took
Although he
off
doesn't
in a jam
really
jar.
explain where he's been at all.
But all the time
You
I
just
was
sort of
away,
see
I
him
kept
being
saying to
captured
myself,
and
"Toad,
being put in a
you must get
bowl
home."
of some kind.
It was the thought of you
Seems
lot
a bit
kept
cruel
me
to me,
going.
actually. He's not a fish, after all.
Must get back to my mate, as I kept thinking. Must get back to my...
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of which...
Now that's
I'm
that's
afraid-
kind of an issue there, Toad, because the pond's been filled in.
Rather
Ah!
bad news, Toad.
It's your
It's another interesting relationship that we have during this first series, Mole and
Been
Toad.
filled in.
What?
Toad, Mole's a bit more sort of understanding about Toad. Oh, Toad, how can I put this your pond? And then Al just jumps in. Oh, it's been filled in.
My pond!
Gone completely, I'm afraid.
And the newt's puddle!
Fox's voice in this first episode is just unbearable. You just can't emote at all.
Trickle now, which is
Just
why
a muddy
we've called
trickle.
this
Hear me?
assembly
That's why I have Stephen Hawking doing that voice.
If
You
we
may
ever
as
get
well
to hold this
just a
meeting,
muddy
You
trickle now.
see, we've got to face facts, old son. As a community, we're all but finished here.
Ooh,
Man,
what happened there?
machines
Philmice just sort of
into
jumped
that.
into shot.
Don't talk to me about those machines. I know all about them.
In fact,
He's pounding
it
the
must be
desk.
obvious
I
to
will not
everyone
stand for this.
here that
if
He's
we
really
don't
annoyed.
find a new watering hole within the next few days,
then we're going to be in the very worst kind of distress.
Worst kind
You
of
know
distress.
what I mean.
How many different kinds of distress are there? Oh, I'm in distress. But I'm not in the worst kind of distress, so it's not that
in
bad.
earth as dry as a biscuit, don't be silly, Mole.
Biscuity Earth. That'd be quite nice, I think. I like that sort of very
What
sort of
about
human
you
actions
birds?
of drumming their
You
fingers.
get about a bit, don't you? Got any idea where we could go?
Not really, Fox. You see,
Well, obviously the pheasants aren't going to know, because the pheasants, you know, like don't fly at all.
always the
Why
danger
do
of
Owl
being
and Kestrel not have any say in the question of whether the birds know anything?
That we could go to.
And here we have the... Well, he's asking anyone, Owl, really. So, obviously he's asking Toad.
Old Toad. Obviously rambling, poor fella. Purpose.
What's that supposed to mean, Badger?
What do
What do you mean, he's rambling?
They calls it.
I don't really understand that line, because like a few seconds later, Badger's like, oh, White Deer Park, oh, that sounds great.
Tis a nature preserve.
So I don't really understand the purpose of that line.
It's a place where all wild creatures.
Why didn't Toad just stay there?
Protected by humans.
You know, Toad's been captured, you know, he's obviously been rather traumatised by the experience and obviously maybe a little bit tired.
If such a place
And he's
existed,
comes across this
I would
nature
know
preserve
about
and
it.
he's like, oh, fuck this place, I'm going back to Farthing Wood. But then again, I suppose he does say, after he arrives, it was the thought of you lot that kept me going. He wants to get back to his friends, I suppose.
White deer park.
So it's quite a noble move by Toad, really, in a way.
Either of them.
He decides not to stay at White Deer Park, even though it's a really nice place, because he wants to get back to his friends.
Have we any alternative?
Quite. Then White Deer Park it is, everyone.
What?
All those in favour?
Owl is stunned by this solution to the situation. What? Toad's come up with a solution? I thought it was going to be me. I thought I was going to come up with a solution. I mean, there's a lot more shrews and voles and field mice and rabbits and squirrels in those shots there than there are at any other point in the series.
And it's all gonna be
And suddenly they're going to be eaten by Kestrel and Adder. They just sort of dip into shot there and look rather threatening. That looks a bit bizarre, that, a squirrel and a hedgehog dancing.
happens there's someone else here as like to be heard. Tip
Hare wants to be heard.
Trust him to
Herd
spoil
wants to be
this.
heard. I mean, Hare wants to be... Ooh, I like the way he just shoves Toad off.
Yes, Hare. Do I hear right? Or do
Oh,
I
I've just
not?
realised that's a rather feeble pun, isn't it? The rabbit saying, I'm all ears.
Travel to this here White Deer Park together.
Yeah, in that shot there. Like I was talking about the eyes earlier.
You mean
His eyes look really
vegetarians
weird.
alongside our natural enemies, the carnivores?
What? Is he talking about us? I had no idea we were carnivores. I'm a vegetarian.
To accept having a fox along with us?
Ugh.
Thing
What was Fox doing there with his mouth?
Steady on, Hare.
And as
Steady
for
on.
that
We've only
slimy,
just met.
slithery, sneaky snake,
What's slimy about Ada?
Someone mention moi.
it's
Yeah.
eaten half our field mouse population already.
Why don't you just get rid of Ada? Well, as it turns out, Ada is actually quite a nice person at heart, really. She protects the field mice and a lot of the smaller animals during points in this series, and saves Vixen's life and tries to save Pheasant's life.
What the heck's that?
But in this first episode, she's just portrayed as being this bully and menacing troublemaker. And here again, we have a crucial point in the series: the oath of mutual protection. The oath of mutual. It sounded very Yorkshire the way they were saying that. The oath of mutual protection.
Rise nor consume one another.
Not eat one another? How's a snake supposed to survive?
Oh, by the way, I really like Ada's voice. It sounds very snake-like. Snaky. Slithery. Serpent.
And repeat after me. I, name of animal.
And Toad's a bit dim here. I name of animal. That's Toad making a feeble joke, basically, there.
Toad. Or,
Whatever you are.
I rabbit. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Rabbit's got the right idea.
Solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Not to swallow anybody.
Now, is Ada really taking this oath, since she doesn't have a hand in order for her to raise?
Nobody's looking.
While en route to this place of Toads. Toad will obviously be our guide on our journey. And leader. And just guide, I think, Toad.
I like Toad's face there. Ooh, I can't be leader.
We'll need a leader. Someone we can look up to.
Screw being a guide, I want to be leader.
Courageous. And
What exactly is the difference?
Probably not a snake. Joking.
I therefore nominate Fox to be our
I wish
leader.
Ada would just kill Weasel. Do away with her.
You off your
Save us the trouble.
trolley, fox.
Thanks a bundle, Badger.
Fox really isn't keen about the idea of being leader, even though
Fox has all
he actually
the right
does do a good job
qualities
during this series.
He's an experienced
in leading
traveller.
them.
He roams far and wide over all sorts of terrains, and he's used to scavenging.
Oh, he's just a scavenger now. Oh dear.
Now, I'm sure we've all got lots of things to do before we
And
leave.
off they go.
Eating up our last few berries and cleaning our fur coats.
They're all going back home,
So just don't forget.
knowing that this will be their last night in Farthing Wood.
Midnight.
Has to be a bit emotional, really. 'Cause, I imagine they've all been born in Farthing Wood. They've all grown up there. Now they're going to leave. And, with the exception of Owl, they're never going to return. So there you go, guys. That was the very first episode of the Animals of Farthing Wood. If you've never seen it before, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have seen it before, I hope you enjoyed seeing it again. And I don't think there's really much else to say. The music, by the way, is very nice. I always enjoyed the music, both the intro and the stuff you get during the show. There's some real emotional stuff you get at some points later in the series, like when the hedgehogs die. These are not the English credits, by the way. You may have noticed during the opening to the show, the title screen is in German, I think. This is a German version of the show, but the dialogue is still in English. That's kind of odd. But I think we can probably cope with that. There you go, guys.